Welcome to the third installment of our beginner yoga poses series. In this video, we will be focusing on another 10 sets of beginner yoga poses that will help you build strength, flexibility, and mindfulness. Remember to honor your body and take breaks as needed. And as always, consult with your healthcare provider before beginning any new exercise routine. So let's finish strong and find some peace and relaxation through the practice of yoga. Plank pose, or phalakasana, is a foundational yoga pose that strengthens the arms, core, and back muscles. Begin in a push-up position, with your wrists directly under your shoulders and your body in a straight line from head to heels. Engage your core muscles to keep your hips in line with your shoulders and avoid sagging or arching in the lower back. Hold the pose for several breaths, then release down to the ground. Plank pose can be modified by dropping the knees to the ground or by practicing against a wall. It's a great pose for building overall strength and stability in the body. Four-limbed staff pose, also known as Chaturanga Dandasana, is a challenging pose that requires strength and stability in the arms, shoulders, core, and legs. To come into the pose, start in a high plank position with your wrists directly under your shoulders and your feet hip distance apart. Lower down halfway, keeping your elbows close to your body and your shoulders away from your ears. Your body should form a straight line from your head to your heels. Hold the pose for a few breaths, then release down to the ground or push back up to high plank. You can repeat this pose several times in a sequence, or hold it for longer periods of time to build strength and endurance. As with any yoga pose, be sure to listen to your body and modify as needed to avoid injury. Pigeon pose, also known as aka Pada Rajakapotasana, is a yoga pose that stretches the hip flexors, quadriceps, and glutes. It is often used as a preparation for more advanced hip opening poses. To come into pigeon pose, start in a high plank position and bring your right knee forward between your hands. Your right foot should be close to your left wrist, and your right knee should be aligned with your right hip. Extend your left leg straight back behind you. Slowly lower your torso down towards the ground, resting your forearms on the mat in front of you or lowering all the way down to the ground. You may want to place a folded blanket or block under your right hip to support your posture. Hold the pose for several deep breaths, then slowly release and switch sides. Thunderbolt pose, aka Vajrasana, is a seated yoga posture that is commonly used for meditation and pranayama, breathing, practices. It is a simple but powerful pose that helps to improve digestion, reduce stress and anxiety, and increase mental clarity. To come into Thunderbolt pose, start by kneeling on the ground with your knees together and your feet apart, toes pointing straight back. Place your hands on your thighs and sit up straight, lengthening your spine and relaxing your shoulders down away from your ears. Lower your buttocks down towards your heels and sit back on your heels. If your buttocks don't easily reach your heels, you can place a folded blanket or cushion between your heels and buttocks for support. Stay in the pose for several minutes, focusing on your breath and allowing your mind to become calm and still. To come out of the pose, gently lift your hips up and come back to a seated position. Seated spinal twist pose, aka Ardha Matsyendrasana, is a seated yoga posture that involves twisting the spine while keeping the hips and legs rooted to the ground. Here's how to do it. Start by sitting on the floor with your legs extended in front of you. Bend your right knee and place your right foot on the ground, crossing over your left leg. Bring your left elbow to the outside of your right knee and place your right hand on the ground behind your back. Inhale and lengthen your spine, and then exhale as you twist to the right, using your left arm to gently deepen the twist. Hold the pose for 5 to 10 breaths, lengthening your spine on each inhale and deepening the twist on each exhale. Release the twist on an exhale, and then repeat on the other side. Some benefits of seated spinal twist pose include stretching the back muscles, improving digestion, stimulating the organs in the abdomen, and increasing spinal flexibility. It is important to listen to your body and avoid forcing the twist beyond what feels comfortable for you. Legs up the wall pose, aka Viparita Karani, is a yoga posture that involves lying on your back with your legs extended up the wall. This pose is great for reducing stress, improving circulation, and relieving tired or swollen legs. It can also help calm the mind and reduce anxiety. It's a gentle inversion, so it's safe for most people to practice, but it's always best to check with your doctor if you have any health concerns or conditions. Camel pose, aka Ustrasana, is a yoga pose that stretches the entire front of the body including the chest, abdomen, and quadriceps, while also strengthening the back muscles. Here's how to do it. Start by kneeling on the mat with your knees hip-width apart, and your hands on your hips. Engage your core and lift your chest up, while lengthening your spine. Slowly start to lean back, bringing your hands to your heels, one at a time. Arch your back and lift your chest up towards the ceiling, while keeping your neck in a neutral position. Hold the pose for a few breaths, then slowly release by bringing your hands back to your hips and returning to a kneeling position. It's important to listen to your body and only go as far as you feel comfortable. If you have any neck or back issues, consult with a yoga teacher or a healthcare professional before attempting this pose. Boat pose, also known as Navasana, is a yoga posture that strengthens the abdominal muscles, hip flexors, and lower back. Here are the steps to perform boat pose. Begin by sitting on the floor with your legs extended in front of you and your arms at your sides. Take a deep breath in and lift your legs off the floor, keeping them together and straight. Bring your arms straight out in front of you, parallel to the floor. Find your balance on your sitting bones, and lift your chest up towards the sky. Maintain the pose, balancing on your sitting bones, and keeping your chest lifted, and your gaze forward. If it feels comfortable, you can straighten your legs so that your body forms a V shape. Hold the pose for several breaths, then slowly release your legs back down to the floor. Note, it's important to avoid boat pose if you have any lower back issues. Instead, you can modify the pose by keeping your knees bent or placing your hands behind your knees for support. Additionally, if you have any neck issues, you can keep your gaze down at the floor instead of looking forward. Wheel pose, aka Chakrasana, is a back-bend yoga posture that helps to stretch the chest, shoulders, abdomen, and hip flexors while strengthening the arms, wrists, and legs. To perform the pose, follow these steps. Start by lying on your back with your knees bent and feet flat on the ground, hip distance apart. Bend your elbows and place your palms on the ground beside your head with your fingers pointing towards your shoulders. Press into your palms and lift your head, shoulders, and hips off the ground. Straighten your arms and lift your chest towards the ceiling, keeping your feet and hands firmly on the ground. Stay in the pose for a few breaths, then release by slowly lowering your body back down to the ground. Some benefits of wheel pose include improving spinal flexibility, strengthening the arms, shoulders, and legs, and improving overall posture. It's important to practice the pose with caution and only attempt it if you feel comfortable and confident in your abilities. Revolved triangle pose, aka Parivrtta Trikonasana, is a yoga posture that stretches and strengthens the legs, hips, and spine, while also improving balance and focus. Here are the steps to perform this pose. Start in triangle pose, Trikonasana, with your right foot forward and your left foot turned in slightly. Place your left hand on your left hip, and inhale as you reach your right arm up toward the ceiling. Exhale and twist your torso to the right, bringing your right hand down to the outside of your right foot. Keep your left hand on your hip or reach it up toward the ceiling, maintaining the twist in your spine. Ground down through your feet and engage your legs, lifting your kneecaps and pressing your thighs back. Hold the pose for several breaths, then release and repeat on the other side. It's important to keep your spine long and your chest open throughout the pose, and to avoid collapsing into your lower back. If you're new to this pose or have any injuries or limitations, it's best to practice under the guidance of a qualified yoga teacher. Thank you for watching. Remember to make time for self-care, and to prioritize your physical and mental health. We will continue to bring you new and exciting content, so be sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell to stay updated. Until next time, Namaste.